Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. Congressman, good to see you. The Trump administration essentially wants to shift more responsibility for disaster response and preparedness to the states. How do you see that working? Does Florida have the capability to do that without relying upon FEMA?
Thanks, Jake. Good to be with you. I mean, just listening to the secretary who's been saying this since she took office now for the last, 7 months. She was wrong when she first started it, and she's wrong now. And what we're finding, I think, Jake, is that she has not reformed the agency. She has destroyed the agency. She talks about the agency being too slow. She's made it worse. She's made it less efficient. So much for DOGE, for efficiency. She's made this agency less responsive. They've gotten rid of 30% of the workforce. Everything over 100,000 has to go to her personal sign-off. Does that sound efficient? And so, we're going to get into hurricane season, and unfortunately, we're not going to find out how much she broke the agency, has a administrator with no disaster experience until we get a disaster that a state can't handle. God forbid, let's hope it doesn't happen. Florida and Texas have better emergency management departments because they've invested the money, because those state budgets have more money and they've had more disasters. I'm really worried about Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. Those states go bankrupt without FEMA. So we're going to have to see how much Kristi Noem took an agency that needed reform, and instead she dropped the bomb on the agency and destroyed it.
And just for viewers at home who don't know, Congressman Moskowitz was head of the Florida Emergency Management Department under Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, so he has some personal experience running disaster preparedness. Congressman, during his Senate, pardon me, during his Senate confirmation hearing today, President Trump's nominee to lead NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, or agency rather, Neil Jacobs, said that he will work to improve weather warning systems, but he also said he supports President Trump's budget proposal, that critics say would cut NOAA's weather and climate research programs, which are meant to improve weather detection as the climate continues to warm. What's your reaction to this nominee and to his support for the president's budget proposal for NOAA?
Well, I wouldn't expect a person trying to get a job right now to go off script from what the administration is proposing. But I hate to bring it up, but this is literally chapter and verse right out of Project 2025. You can literally find it in the document where they talked about defunding the agency. They talked about getting rid of the people so that they break it to a point to where they can privatize it. It's all there, and that's what they're doing. Now they're reversing course a little bit, right? They're trying to hire 125 new people because they realize DOGE broke it to a point where it can't function. Look, a lot of these agencies need new technology, Jake, right? Whether it's the FAA or the National Weather Service or FEMA, they need new technology. We haven't invested in technology. Why? Because that costs money. You can't cut your way to technology. That's why the efficiency piece was never done by DOGE. That's where they needed to invest in technology. The way you get around investing in technology is you have people. You have people covering that. Well, when they got rid of the people, they realized everything was breaking. And so, the National Weather Service is going to need help. So is FEMA. And to get us through this hurricane season, this caught them by surprise. This horrific disaster, losing 120 people, losing 36 kids, over 100 people still missing. This is a major disaster, and we're going to need an after-action review to determine what failed, what didn't work, what communication between the locals and the state and the feds, what usually would have happened that maybe didn't happen because of these cuts at both FEMA and the National Weather Service. There are massive gaps in the timeline between when these notices went out and when evacuations started at the county. And evacuations start at the local level. They don't start at the state level. That's how it works in Florida. That's how it works in other states.
Yeah, Democratic.
And so,
go ahead. Final thought.
No, so I was going to say is, look, right now it's tough to say A equals B, but cuts to FEMA, cuts to National Weather Service did not help anybody in Texas.
Yeah. Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz from Florida. Thanks.